Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. So I've been asked to say a few words about book distribution and the importance of book distribution for this year's Gita Jayanti. So when I joined the Krishna Consciousness movement over 50 years ago, one of my first services was distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And when I started to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, both from the temple and on traveling Sankirtan, I experienced more spiritual realization, more spiritual pleasure, more connection with Krishna and Srila Prabhupada than in any other service that I have ever performed. And I could directly feel Srila Prabhupada's mercy pouring down upon me. I remember on traveling Sankirtan where we used to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books for, let's say, 10, 12 hours a day. And coming back after the book distribution was finished, we would not be able to rest. We would listen to classes of Srila Prabhupada. And listening to classes of Srila Prabhupada, it was like the mind was so clear, we could hear the lotus dust coming from the feet of Krishna, coming from the mouth of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So we could understand through those experiences that this book distribution is the most dear activity for His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And also during an encounter that I had with Srila Prabhupada in Sridham Mayapur, where I was describing the success of our book distribution in a temple that I was in charge of. That temple, of course, was Caracas, Venezuela. Srila Prabhupada really gave me the information or the message of how important book distribution was for him. During this particular encounter, I was explaining to Srila Prabhupada how many books our temple had distributed during the month of December. And it turned out we had distributed 35,000 hardbound Bhagavad Gitas on the streets or in the buses of Caracas, Venezuela. And when Srila Prabhupada heard this, his eyes opened wide. And then, when I pointed out to Srila Prabhupada the devotee who had personally distributed 10,000 of those books, Srila Prabhupada stated, he has the mercy of Krishna. And of course I was feeling a little bit envious because I was the one in charge of the temple, the one who had organized Sankirtan. So Prabhupada understood that, and he looked around the room and looked at me and said, you all have the mercy of Krishna. And then Prabhupada said something very interesting. He said, but it's just like the gopis, who in one sense are considered higher than others. So I think I got the message from Srila Prabhupada at that particular point. And also in one letter that I received from Srila Prabhupada, in Caracas, Venezuela also, Prabhupada said you should not be satisfied until every house has his books. So these are not so subtle messages that I got from Srila Prabhupada, so I'd like to convey my realizations in this way for all of you and encourage you all to please Srila Prabhupada and distribute as many of his books. But of course, when you distribute the books, distribute them on their own merit. When people get the books distributed on their own merit, they'll be more inclined to read them, and they'll feel more favorable to Krishna consciousness. And while you're distributing, have a personal relationship with the people you're distributing the books to. You should not think that simply they are buyers of the books, but rather They are persons who you are trying to reach out to, persons who you are praying to Krishna for, that he will enable them to understand the importance of these books and take the books. I remember when I was doing Sankirtan, I would be continually praying to Krishna in the heart of those particular individuals. Please let them take these books, let them become enlightened, let them connect to you. So the book distribution should be done with the mood of compassion. That is the most important point. So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.